doing,
Good to
John?
see you.
It's going good. How's it going?
well,
Good, good.
So,
All right.
John, I write for Wizard,
Oh, all right.
the Uber.
I won't.
nerdish, what would you like fans of the comic book to know is on the way in this particular film?
What would I like them to know? Well, that we hear them. We're working from the same material that they're familiar with, and we're gonna stick to it in certain ways. In certain ways, we're gonna change it, but we're not changing it out of ignorance. We're changing it as a choice to make it interesting and maybe make it so that they don't always know what to expect. And I think that the fans have been punished by studios that don't care, and they assume sometimes when you change things, you don't know what you're doing or you don't care about them. But sometimes you do things, sometimes you change it, like when you're telling a joke, to throw things off a little bit and let there be some surprises when next May rolls around. Because with the level of curiosity, it's very hard to not open every Christmas present before the release date. And so we try to do things that might not be might be unexpected. And I gotta tell you, with all the secrets we thought we had the first time out, very few of them made it all the way to when the movie came out. I mean, that Nick Fury thing was out there on Inical News less than a week after we did it. And we shot with a skeleton crew on a dark day. Nobody knew about it, and we thought we were so clever, and everybody knew. And what we ended up doing was pulling that additional scene off of all the press prints, and we didn't put it out there until the film actually hit the theaters. And what was funny was that there were people at Inical News saying, "I know it's true. Something's wrong. They did something," and they never questioned it. And they were right, they were right, but it drove them a little crazy for a while, because it is a cat and mouse game that we play often.
John, do you ever plan to give another film a chance at Comic-Con, since you've now won
Oh.
two Comic-Con? This is just not fair for anybody else.
Well, last time we were fighting for a place at the dinner table, so we had to Al Capone it a little bit. We were sandwiched there between Indiana Jones and Star Trek. We didn't even, you know what I mean. We were third-class citizens, so we had to bring it with the footage. Then this time it's like we did it. We didn't. From a marketing standpoint, we didn't have to do anything here. The mainstream fans knew about us. They liked it. They would see it. Even if we made a piece of junk, it would do business, and then we would lose. The franchise would be run into the ground, but this one would do well, and so the marketing concern wasn't really first and foremost for us here. What was more important was that these fans were the people who allowed the world to know about Iron Man and built an audience for us through their vocal advocacy online, and we wanted to come here and show them the first look, as opposed to getting it from some tabloid TV show or running it in an article. We wanted to really roll out the surprises here and show people what we were really thinking, because we in a lot of ways felt we owed it to this group of people. And they ultimately, if they're not satisfied, even if the film does well, I'm going to be bummed out, because I feel that they put a lot of trust in not just myself but the cast and Marvel, and we wanted to make sure that they approved of the way we were going, and hoping to get an enthusiastic response, as I think we did. But that also helps me go into the editing room now and work alone for the next 10 months and have that momentum of going from 6,000 people cheering to a dark editing room alone with an editor is a very surreal experience, and then continuing that process. It's very strange, but very gratifying.
You talked a little bit on the panel. You talked about Iron Man 2, and then you sort of talked about it as stepping stones to Avengers, and then doing Thor, and then of course there was the joke with you and Robert about whether or not you would direct the Avengers. Yeah. How much were you guys kidding around, and how serious is that you might do the Avengers?
When we started shooting, there was no way I could direct the Avengers, and I was like, really? You don't even... You're planning it, so I couldn't even if we wanted to? And how would you make the Avengers anyway? concurrently with the films that are supposed to establish the characters that are reflected. You know, you don't know. I don't know what Iron Man 2 is yet. I'm not going to know for another 8 months. You discover these movies are made through not just prepping them and shooting them, but by cutting them. Who is Thor? You won't know till you know what that movie is. And fortunately, they spaced out the films now enough that I think will really have a deeper understanding and a shot for all of these to be good films. And they're not rushing it. They're doing it. I think they're doing it the right way. And who they have hired for Thor so far, and who they're considering for other roles that I cannot share with you. It's unfair to them. But I will say that it gets me very excited, and they're taking risks. And I think that was what they said they would do when they formed their own studio. And if that turns out well, and Cap turns out well, then I think you could have a killer Avengers. But you have to understand who they are and how they all fit together, because you are going to be changing the very fabric of the reality of the world that we created for Iron Man when you introduce a supernatural character.
So does that mean that Hulk is maybe not part of that discussion at this point?
Again, I'm kind of on the sidelines of this.
Okay.
You know, I'm involved in some way. I mean, right now, I have enthusiasm. In a year, it will have been 4 years in this world. You know, not just making these movies, but really hewing out the tone and the world that these Marvel films occupy. You know, we've been trailblazing, and you know, the trick is you got to do films you're enthusiastic about. Right now, I'm very excited about finishing this one. Launching into the next one, I don't know right now, but I got to say, so far it's been a great ride, and and if there's anything I could bring to it, you know, I will be involved as an executive producer for sure, and I will be helping with the whole process. But to live it for 2 years and bring all those things together, that's going to depend on the story, the take, and where Marvel wants to go with it.
Last question.
Are so integrated, you know, Ken, you had talked about how you've gone up and looked at what Kenneth was doing and come down and see.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility this? I mean, I don't know how Marvel, you know, deals with you guys on a day-to-day basis, but could this become a sort of Pixar type thing where like everybody works together and sort of a group, sort of? You know,
Maybe. I mean, hopefully it is that. And certainly everybody that I've encountered there have been very easy and fun to collaborate with. And Kenneth Branagh could not be more different in his skills set than I am, and also more open and gracious. So I think it does lend itself to that environment. And it's a small enough shop. And, you know, unlike a lot of studios where the executives are more politicians than they are creative entities, Kevin Feige really... he knows the stuff, and he loves movies, and we talk the same language. And I have a tremendous amount of faith in that guy. And if he's the guy who's unifying those visions, I think it can be very interesting. I certainly want to stay involved with these guys. I mean, it's only been a pleasant ride so far. You know, knock wood, what's going to happen over the next year. But so far so good. I really like my life now. I mean, I like the amount of creative freedom and how unexpected and unpredictable everything is from day to day. I mean, we're on a high wire, and we could do anything and hire anybody. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I want to call Shandling. Let's see if he'll come in and do this. So I call him up. Really? Yeah, come on, man, do it. He does the scene you saw today. Hey, let's do another. You want to do another? Really? Yeah, we'll figure out something for you know. And then we sculpt scenes and change them as we learn things about the characters. Or Mickey Rourke wants a pet. All right, let's get you not a chihuahua. All right, not a chihuahua. But I had seen a picture of him with a cockatoo that he used to own, and so he's like, what about that? And it's my favorite animal. And he was like, well, maybe this could humanize this guy, and that wasn't something in the script. But how do you do it? It's always like you want the freedom that like Coppola brought to The Godfather, where Marlon Brando finds the cat on the set and is playing with it in that scene. What you don't want Brando wearing an ice bucket on his head with Mini-Me like in the alley back of the wall. And that's the balancing act. You know. Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Next acting role, a couples retreat. I'm going to be in. Yeah. I'm working on that. Oh, sure.
Oh my goodness, where did mine go?
Yeah.
That's that one.